Oh yeah, 1, 2, ready, go. So, good day, guys. You're welcome to Special Medics Educational Services and Consultancy. This is just a segment of what we do, which is the online tutorial segment, a section of one of our services. One of the services we do render to students. So this is just a quick one, though. Just a quick one because we've received series of complaints and requests from some students about this topic known as conjugate acid and bases in chemistry. It has really posed problem to students, and the main issue here is that some of them find it very difficult to identify conjugate acids and bases. But this morning we are going to make that particular misconception. We're going to clear the misconception on conjugate acid and bases. We are not even going to talk too much. We're just going to look at the shortcut, the tricks that one can easily apply to deduce the compound that will be conjugate acid as the ions that will be conjugate acid and the ones that will be conjugate base. Very, very, very easy. You just need to follow the rules. Follow the rules and you get the tips. Follow the rules, you get the answer to any problem concerning conjugate acid and base. And meanwhile, don't forget to click on the subscribe button so you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So whenever there is anytime we get to upload a new video, you'll be notified. So please don't forget, after watching, you subscribe and also share to your friends who are also having problems concerning this conjugate acid and bases. You can also send us a private message, request for topics that you want to be clarified on. Then we'll take our time and go through them. So let's get on with this with alacrity. So conjugate acids and bases, shortcut to identifying conjugate acids and what bases. And I tell you, by the end of this video, you will be able to grab all the concepts. So let's get on with it. Shortcut to identifying conjugate acids and bases. Okay, so the first point we need to understand here is that the first point we need to identify here is that you should know what an acid is. You should know what a base is. You should know how to identify an acid. You should know how to identify a base. Most times, what do we normally use to identify acid? Just the presence of hydrogen ion, because we know when this compound they ionize in water, when this compound they dissolve in water, they produce hydrogen ion. So the first thing here is that you should have the ability to, you should have this tendency to identify what an acid is or what an acid will look like in a compound. And most times, whenever you see a compound and there's presence of hydrogen there, it tells you, okay, this is what an acid. And then the acid is always gotten from the reactant. Take note, it's always gotten from what? The reactant side. In any chemical reaction, the reactant is on the left-hand side, then the product is on the what? Is on the right-hand side. Like this is a good example of an acid. This is an acid. We have hydrofluoric acid, that's hydrogen fluoride there. We have HCl. I'm going to make use of these two acids to explain this concept. Understand? We don't even need to go into that of bases. If you can understand this acid concept, you get the whole picture. Now, this is the rule. Please follow the rule. Follow the rule. Acids will give you conjugate base. Acid gives you what? Conjugate what? Base. Then base, that's the bases will give you what? Conjugate what? Acid. So what does this mean? It is the acid that you use to form the what? The conjugate base. Then it is the base you use to form the conjugate what? Acid. So remember, acid, conjugate base, conjugate acid. But the reason I said you don't need to concentrate on base, because when you find the acid and you get to know the conjugate base, it simply means the remaining compound in the reactant side will serve as the base, and the remaining compound on the product side will serve as the what? As the conjugate acid. Okay, so you just need to identify the acid, then you are good to go. Now, to start with the rule the rule you have to follow. Let's make use of hydrogen fluoride. Hydrogen fluoride is what? Hydrogen fluoride is what? Is an acid. Hydrogen fluoride is what? An acid. So we want to form the conjugate base of this acid. Because we know acid gives you what? The conjugate what? Acid gives you what? The conjugate base. So this is the rule. To get the conjugate base, the rule says remove what? One hydrogen. Remove what? One hydrogen atom from that acid. Remove one hydrogen atom from that acid. So we are going to remove what? Remove one hydrogen atom. Remove one hydrogen atom. Remove one hydrogen atom from that acid. You understand? Remove one hydrogen atom from that acid. Okay? So remove one hydrogen atom from that acid. So when you do that, this is HF. Now remove one hydrogen atom. Now what are you going to have? You will now have F, right? I've removed one hydrogen atom. Then after removing one hydrogen atom, the rule says add a negative sign. Add a what? A negative sign as a par on F. So add a negative sign as a par on F. So we have this HF, it gave us F. Then add a negative sign, we put negative sign here. You see it now? Like F minus, because it's now like an ion. So that is what the rule is saying. When you remove the hydrogen, you'll be left with F. After that, you add a negative what? Sign. So this is the acid, and this is the what? This is the conjugate what? This is the conjugate what? Base. So this is the acid, this is the conjugate what? Base. Very easy. You saw the way we analyzed the concept. Alright, so okay, so yeah, we are done with HF. Now let's do the one for HCl. As the rule says, this is HCl. HCl is the acid. The first rule says you should remove what? You remove one hydrogen atom. Remove one what? Hydrogen atom. Remove one hydrogen atom. So when you remove one hydrogen atom, this is HCl. It will now give you what? Remove one hydrogen atom. You now have what? Cl. Then what? Add a negative what? Add a negative sign. Add a negative sign as the what? As the par. As the par on Cl. So HCl will now change to Cl what? Minus. Look at the negative sign. Very easy. Follow the format. With this, there's no question of conjugate acid. There's no way you won't be able to identify conjugate acid and what? Conjugate base. Now there are some problems here we are going to look at. There are some problems here we are going to look at in a jiffy now. So let's take a look at one problem here. That's H2SO4 plus H2O gives you SO4 2 minus plus H3O plus. This is the way you see the question in the exam. They will ask you what is the conjugate acid and which is the conjugate base. Then in the options, they give you different options. Just know the acids are always found in the what? In the reactant side. This is the reactant. Then the conjugate acid and base are always found in the what? In the product side. Do you understand? So the acids are found in the reactant side, then the base are also found in the reactant side. Then the conjugate acid and bases are found in the product side. Now, what is the acid here? The acid here is simply H2SO4. The acid here is simply what? H2SO4. When you say H2SO4, tetrasulfate 6 acid tells you that's an acid. You don't even need to rack your brain on that. Then this is H2O. This is actually the what? The base. H2O is the base. But I told you, just concentrate on the acid. If you can identify the acid, your problem is solved. It's solved already. Now this is the acid, H2SO4. Remember, Acid gives you what? The conjugate base. Acid gives you what? Conjugate base. So that means this acid will be used to form the what? Conjugate base. The acid will be used to what? Form the conjugate base. This is not H2SO4, sorry, it is HSO4. HSO4 from the question, not H2SO4. It is HSO4. Okay, it's still an acid because one hydrogen atom has been removed already. So you now have HSO4. Okay, so it's still an acid. Now when you remove the hydrogen from HSO4, you are going to have SO what? SO4. When you remove this hydrogen from SO4, you are going to have, when you remove hydrogen from this, you are going to have SO4. That's what you are going to have. Then okay, now this is the first question we are going to look at, as you can see from on the board. Remember, acid gives you conjugate base. You just need to concentrate on the acid. If you can identify the acid, your problem is solved already. HSO4 minus is the acid here. It's just like H2SO4. So HSO4 minus is the acid. You are going to make use of this HSO4 minus. Use it to form the conjugate base, because this is what? An acid. Okay, so this is an acid. What we are going to get here is conjugate base. Follow the rule. Remove one hydrogen. If you remove this hydrogen here, just one, you'll be left with SO4 what? Minus, right? You'll be left SO4 minus. So we've already removed one hydrogen atom. We've already removed one hydrogen atom. Then after that, you now add a negative what? A negative sign as a power. So this HSO4 minus will now give you SO4. This is the minus. Then add another negative sign. You understand? Add another negative sign, because you are adding another negative sign. It's just like this is minus 1 already. You're adding another negative sign. You're also adding minus what? 1. You understand? You've already added, there was a negative sign here, which is minus 1. Then you are now adding another negative sign. That's now plus minus 1. So this will now give you XO4 minus 1 plus times minus is what? Minus 1. This will now give you SO4 minus what? 2, which is the same thing as what? 2 minus. Because in chemistry, when you are forming a radical, you don't write it as minus 2, you write it as 2 minus. You know it's actually minus 2. So as you can see, we've gotten our acid, and this is the what? Conjugate what? Conjugate what? Base. So as you can see, this is the acid. This is now the acid. This is the conjugate what? Base. So if this is the conjugate base, what does it tell you? It tells you that H2O will serve as the base. Then H3O plus will serve as the what? Conjugate what? Acid. You see, very easy. So if you can identify the acid, your problem is solved already. So this is the second problem. CH3OH plus H2O gives you CH3O plus H3O plus. Okay, now we are about to find the conjugate acid and the conjugate bases. Okay, so that is it. Now, in this question, we have to know which is going to function as an acid and which we kind of function as a what? As a base. You get? So you are going to identify the one that is functioning as an acid and the one that is functioning as a what? As a base. Now this is methanol. This is methanol. This is H2O, and you have the ion of it, CH3O minus plus H3O plus. Now, if you take a look at what we've been doing, you observe that in the product side, you have a negative sign here. You understand? You have a negative sign in the product side. Let me just give you another shortcut again. The negative sign you see on the product side, anytime you see a negative sign on the product side, that is actually the conjugate base. You understand? And when you see a positive sign as the power, that's actually the conjugate what? The conjugate acid. That's another shortcut again. Okay, I'm just teaching you how to form that particular compound. Maybe you are dealing with a theoretical exam. Alright, so this is functioning as the acid. This is functioning as the what? This is functioning as the base. Okay, so if this is functioning as the acid, CH3OH. If this is functioning as the acid, what I've been saying, you remove the hydrogen. Remember, this is not functioning as the base. You don't think because this is OH, it means it's functioning as the base. This is methanol actually. This is methanol. So this is methanol organic chemistry. The OH alcohol group. Okay. So this is CH3OH. Then if you are removing hydrogen, remember you're removing hydrogen from the functional group, you're not removing hydrogen from the alkyl group, which is CH3. So when you remove hydrogen from the functional group, you now have CH3O. Then after that, what do? You add a negative sign as the power. That's the main reason you are seeing it this way. So this is the acid, and this is the what? The conjugate what? Base. Same thing applies to H2O. If this is the base, you want to form the conjugate acid. It's the opposite. Remember, if you have the acid, you want to form the conjugate base, you remove hydrogen. But this time around, what you need to do, you have to add what? Hydrogen. Then when you add hydrogen to H2O, you are going to have H3O. True or false? True. Add one hydrogen atom to H2O. You have H3O. And after that, you put a power. This time you are not adding a negative power. You are adding a what? A positive power, which is H3O plus. So this will now give you a what? Your conjugate what? Acid. So you see, it's very, very, very easy. Very, very, very easy. So this is the last example we'll be looking at, and I believe we've been following from the beginning of the class. Now, same way, this is the acid, because as you can see, this is the conjugate base. I told you shortcut conjugate base in the product side, you have a negative sign there. In the product side as well, for the conjugate acid, you have a positive sign as the power. That's just another way to identify this concept. Now, this is H2PO4 minus. That is the acid. This is the acid. Now, let's take a look at the base, that is conjugate base that is going to give to us. Following that same rule, remove one hydrogen atom. You now have HPO4 minus. Then after that, you add a negative sign. You are adding a negative sign. This is now -1 plus -1. So this will now give you HPO4. This is -1 plus -1. Plus times minus is what? Is minus. So -1 -1. They're going to have HPO4 2 minus, because -1 -1 is -2. So you now have 2 minus. So what does this tell us? Tells us this is the acid, and this is the what? The conjugate what? Base. Very easy. You see, we've gone through the shortcuts. Understand? The shortcuts, tricks to identifying conjugate acid and conjugate base. When I approach this kind of question, I don't do all these things because I'm quite conversant with shortcuts. So you just have to keep on practicing. Okay? It's just because maybe kind of trying to illustrate. That's why it seems as if it's taking much time. But when you understand the concept, when looking at the reaction, you already know your acid, you already know your base, you already know your conjugate acid, and you already know your conjugate base. Then you click the option. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. So we expect you to click on the like button immediately you are done watching this video, and go to the comment section as well and drop your comment. It will be highly appreciative. Also, try as much as possible to share video to your friends or your loved ones who are also having problems on conjugate acid and bases. We promise to release more videos, but that is if you like and subscribe to Shining. Drop your comment section. My name remains Victoris Klukagon, the CEO of Special Medics Educational Services and Consultancy. Until next time, thank you very much.